It's our first edition of Monday Night Sports Talk for the month of December as we wrap up another great sports year. But it ain't over yet until the fat lady sings, and at this point, she's not even made an appearance yet. This is Monday Night Sports Talk on the airnetwork.net. Welcome in, everybody. Greg Banks in the studio tonight, Dave Shannon in Altoona, I believe. We've got Jimmy Ty in Berks County, and Chad States live tonight in Huntington, Pennsylvania. Let's get right to it, gentlemen. I'm glad that you guys are along, and I hope that you had a chance to watch a little bit of that Penn State-Wisconsin game. Of course, Penn State triumphant as they win a Big Ten championship. And, you know, there's all kinds of stuff going on. But let's just get your impressions of that game first, and then we'll go from there. Dave, talk about the Penn State, Big Ten champions, Wisconsin game. Obviously, McSorley had a great game. Barkley had a great game. Man, they just had a fantastic game on Saturday.
Don't forget about Saeed Blackman.
That's right.
Just unbelievable. Mm-hmm. The kid is big. He's got good hands. I mean, it's just amazing. As a matter of fact, Greg and I were talking prior to starting Monday Night Sports Talk, and I said to Greg, it was the damnedest thing watching that game because it seemed like and good quarterbacks do this if they have a good team around them and everyone's on the same page in the playbook. He just went back in the pocket, stopped, stood there, threw to where the pattern was supposed to lead to, and just heaved the frickin' ball as hard as he could, and there was always somebody there. And that the pass that he threw to Saquon Barkley, the little floater over the head of the defender, he threw that when Barkley was between the 10 and the 7-yard line. Barkley hadn't even looked at McSorley at that point, and he turned around and he looked, and the ball's in his hands. Frickin' believable.
That had to be a design play, man. That was designed, I'm sure. The timing was.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
No, it was. I'm just saying, though, it was amazing to watch how, and that's a good quarterback. That's a receiver that's running his route, and everything comes into play, and it did that all night in the second half.
Right.
That being said, second half is the key. And if the Pittsburgh Steelers had the ability to change at halftime, like Penn State does, the Steelers would be 9-3 or maybe 10-2 at this point.
Oh, no doubt.
Instead of 7-5. Unbelievable how good the Nittany Lions are at making both defensive and offensive changes at halftime.
Well, let me get an evaluation real quick from Chad and also Jimmy as they looked at that game, of course, for the first of the many, we hope, Big Ten championships for Penn State. Chad, your evaluation of the game, the good parts and maybe even some of the weak parts for the Nittany Lions.
Well, the weak parts are always the first half. I've never seen a team in all of my years that comes out that makes the adjustments that they do in the second half and comes out and just totally flips the script. I mean, it's unbelievable how I would say poorly they played in the first half, but they didn't play great by any stretch of the imagination. And you just know going into the game that Penn State's that second half, fourth quarter team that you just don't sleep on them at all. And it was just, they were down 28-7, and I'm thinking, man, maybe this is the game that they just can't get it together. Well, I was wrong again. It is a game that they can get it together. And I don't know that I've ever seen anything quite like it. And to Dave's point, what Trace McSorley has brought to this team is, truly an invaluable asset, and that's leadership. Hackenberg was there for 2 years under Franklin, and, they didn't get along. The offenses didn't mesh or whatever. But Hackenberg was not really a true leader of the team. McSorley is the leader. Make no mistake about it. He is the leader of that team. He wears it on his shirt sleeve. They rally around him. You saw him taking some nasty hits in that first half, specifically one by T.J. Watt. He bounces right back up and is not afraid to make a big throw. So they thrive off of his athleticism. They thrive off of his leadership, and it's just absolutely wonderful to see.
Speaking of taking hits, man, it looked like he was taking a couple of hits off of Franklin when he got to the sideline. Franklin seemed so excited, man, he just roughed the kid up. I mean, you could tell there's a real chemistry between the coach and, of course, this team. And, Jimmy, your evaluation of that game on Saturday, as a whole, basically the country was watching. just to see, and I think in many instances, a lot of haters out there were looking for the Penn State Nittany Lions to fail. And, of course, they triumphed overall.
Well, I would like to apologize to Penn State Nation who's listening.
Thank you.
Because 2 weeks ago I said, if you guys remember, that if Wisconsin plays Penn State, Wisconsin would just hammer them.
Well, hold that just a second. Do we accept his apology, Dave and Chad, or can we let the guy, go on and maybe just give him forgiveness now?
Yeah, we can cut him some slack.
All right.
Come on.
No, but I was watching some of the Clemson Virginia Tech game because I'm an ACC fan, right?
Right.
But I'm like, you know what? I'm going to watch some of this Penn State game. The minute I turned that game on, it was 28-7. I'm like, oh, this game's over. Wisconsin got it in the bag. And then McSorley threw that pass right before halftime to, who was
Blackman.
it? Blackman.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like the perfect pass. The defender played it well. Perfect pass. He ran it in for the touchdown. I'm like, okay, this is a game now. Because you knew Penn State was going to come back.
Yeah.
Because they play poorly in the first half, like Chad said, and they always come back to the second half, and they play well. That's why they play 4 quarters of football.
Yeah.
And Penn State came out in that second half and just dominated against Wisconsin, only giving up, 3 points, I believe?
Yeah. You
and they Wisconsin had 28 points in the first half.
Right.
They gave up 3 points in the second half. And it was just a complete effort. It was a complete team effort, and the guys are right. McSorley is the true leader of that team. Early on, you could say Barkley, was like the leader, but no, McSorley in that game was the true leader of that team, and they rallied around him.
Well, Dave and I were talking about it earlier today, and a couple of things I can attribute to, of course, the success of the Lions this year has to be Joe Moorhead, Dave. I mean, when the coach came in, and of course, he's sort of a newbie, and he brings that culture that he's used to. These guys are rallying around him, and obviously there must be some chemistry among that coaching staff, as I mentioned before. And with Joe being down in Lewistown, and his kids playing for Mifflin County this year, I mean, it really certainly is something to behold with Penn State becoming the Big Ten champions.
Well, obviously, he understands the type of player that he has in Trace McSorley. He understands his mental makeup. His physical makeup is what it is. It's pretty darn good for the way he designs an offense. But the mental makeup of McSorley is what he's been able to key in on.
Right.
And he got McSorley to buy into the system. And then as things changed and the team started to get a little healthier in a number of different areas, everybody bought into it, and that's what kind of turned him into a juggernaut. One thing I do want to note before we move on to Chad and Jimmy is this coming back in the second half. The first time this actually happened, and unfortunately they didn't quite make it the whole way, was against Pitt.
Pitt, right. Mm-hmm.
That was the first game where they were just getting hammered by Pitt in the first half, and then the second half, they made their comeback, and they just came up a score short in that loss to Pitt, which, by the way, is probably why they didn't make it to the playoff.
And we'll discuss that coming up in just a mere moment or two here on Monday Night Sports Talk. It's Greg Banks in the studio, Chad States in Huntington, Dave Shannon, Altoona, and Jimmy Ty live with us tonight here on the Air Network from Berks County. Chad, let me ask you this. James Franklin obviously winning a lot of honors here postseason. Tonight, Coach of the Year, of course, in the Big Ten. We got McSorley, who was the man of the hour, actually, of that game on Saturday. Saquon Barkley, of course, the offensive player in the Big Ten, as reported this evening. He's giving them the week off. He's saying, look, I got to give my guys a rest as they get set to take on USC in the Rose Bowl. And obviously, there's some time there so they can get their academics together. Let me just ask this question, then we'll kind of go round robin. Here it is, Penn State. Dave alluded to one of the things that I argued throughout the weekend. That loss to Pitt, that had to have killed them. I didn't see any way that they could circumvent Washington or jump over Washington. And then, of course, that issue with Ohio State, the team that they were beaten by Penn State, and Penn State won the conference. What is your debate when you're out talking to people now about that whole thing and why Penn State wouldn't even be close to the top 4 this year?
Well, it's not that they're not close. I think that they are close. I think that when you look at who they put in 4 teams, all with 1 loss. Mm-hmm. Ohio State was a lock because of who they've beaten 3 top 10 teams, and their only losses to the number 5 ranked team in the nation,
right?
They're a lock. Alabama, obviously a lock.
Oh man,
Clemson, yeah, they lost 1 game to Pitt. Fluky, this, that, or whatever. Stuff happens during a season.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that Pitt's not a good team. It's just that their defense is horrendous.
Right.
But that happens. Clemson wins the ACC. They get in. Your debate is between Penn State and Washington.
Washington, okay.
And so now you're going to start to look at stuff and say, all right, Washington's got 1 loss. Penn State has 2. That has to matter.
Okay.
In the scheme of things, 1 loss versus 2 has to matter. Secondly, I don't think it's Pitt that killed them. I don't think the Pitt loss is what hurt.
You think the beat up? You think the beat down by Michigan?
I think the blowout to Michigan
That's
is
what
what hurt Penn State.
Okay.
Penn State getting blown out of the water is probably what the committee looked at and said, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
Here's a team that just got smoked on the road, albeit many, many weeks ago, and they're a different team now. I think that was a deciding factor to them over Washington.
Okay, I was curious to know what your debate was in the issue because, again, Pitt keeps coming up, and then 49 points beat down by Michigan. I mean, when they beat Penn State that badly, and I know it's a different team now, there has to be some basis for the argument. Jimmy, your thoughts as you watch those Final Four teams being unfurled yesterday. Was there any question in your mind that Penn State had missed that boat?
No, not at all. I look at also like everything that Chad said is exactly the way I'm thinking, but also the committee also looks at strength of schedule.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
They look at the teams that Penn State beat compared to the teams that, like, Washington beat, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
Like the strength of schedule. Like, Washington beat, USC. They beat Stanford. They beat, schools like that. But
Portland State.
You look at the schools, and then you look at, like, the schedule that the Big Ten had.
Yeah.
And you see, like, the Michigan loss, like Chad said, was
49
exactly
points.
Was the thing that kept Penn State out of the big dance, let's say.
Go ahead, Chad. You were going to say, Chad, real quick.
The thing that almost kept Washington out was their strength of schedule, not Penn State.
Yeah.
Penn State's strength of schedule was 15th in the nation, Jimmy. Washington's was, 56, 57.
Right.
Yeah, but they're not going to put 2 Big Ten. They're not going to put 2 Big Ten teams in.
Well, here's the deal. I mean, let's face it.
That's going to be the case.
Yeah, and we'll get to that too, Dave. As we move forward in this whole scenario, Penn State is out. I think obviously, Coach Franklin was a little PO'd. If you listen to his statement after the game on Fox, and he said to the nation, and he really didn't want to commit either way. He just said, I want the committee to honestly take a look at this thing, and whatever they decide, obviously we're happy. Do you feel he should just be happy the fact they only lost 2 games this season? I mean, that is quite an accomplishment when it's all said and done.
Well, when you get on a roll, you want to keep on a roll. And when you believe in your team, then you think, and his point primarily to the committee was, don't judge us, and he kept saying this because people kept walking up to him and say, well, you were 2-2.
Yeah.
And it's like, let's not talk about the 2-2.
And we said that here on the show.
The 9 in a row that we just won.
Exactly.
Where are we now? Now, and I, obviously well exceeded expectations for the football team for this year. I mean, even amongst us guys.
Oh, yeah.
Because back when they were 2-2, there were rumblings, and I think Chad and I stuck up for Coach Franklin.
Thank you.
It was still too early to, make a decision about what you're going to do. I think he's a good coach. He's surrounded himself with good people. And you hear him talk, over the weekend at one point they asked him about picking Trace McSorley.
Yeah.
And he said, I've known the kid since he was in high school.
Right.
He's always been a leader. I knew I had to have him on this football team. I was committed to getting him. He was committed to coming here.
Right.
Now, one last thing I do want to throw in, Greg, before we get to the other guys, is obviously this was not an easy decision for the committee because they were supposed to have that ready at 12 noon.
Right.
And it took till 25 after 12 because there was still a serious debate going on as to whether they wanted to include Penn State over Washington or not. So, a point was made. It just wasn't a strong enough point. And I will, from the now to the day I die, say if they had not lost to Pitt, they would have jumped over Washington.
Well, I think so, too.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts.
And we don't want Jimmy gloating. Jimmy, yeah, your Pitt Panthers beat us, but if we played you again, and we know it would be a shootout, at this point of the season, but basically, yeah, we got beat fair and square. And I believe, though, when Michigan hung that 49 extra points on Penn State that game, that was pretty much the death nail as far as I was concerned. Now, moving forward in these postseasons, and I got to ask this question. We got Alabama against Washington on New Year's Eve, Ohio State taking on Clemson. Let me start with Chad first. Chad, who meets up in the national championship game against Alabama? Because it's almost and now unless it's going to be a miracle and Washington somehow pulls this game out, it will be Alabama, but who are they going to face? Ohio State or Clemson?
I think it's a rematch. I think Clemson makes it. I've not seen enough out of Ohio State's offense to tell me that they can put together a complete 4 quarters to get it done against a good quality football team.
Okay.
I mean, they've struggled against a lot of teams lately. Their passing game just isn't there.
Okay.
So I think it's going to be Clemson and Alabama again in a rematch.
And who wins that then for the national championship, obviously?
well, I would like to pick
the pro team.
I'm a limb here. Yeah, it's going to be a tough call.
Hey,
I'm going to say it's Alabama.
Yeah,
but,
okay.
Man, that's really tough for me to say.
You're
right
a
now.
risk
I know
taker.
it is.
You're a risk
Yes, you
taker.
certainly are. I hope
yeah.
that's not one of those broken limbs that you don't suspect, but anyhow. Hey, let me ask Jimmy that. Jimmy,
it's close.
Jimmy, what do you think in that game? Alabama and who's going to play in the championship? Do you think Ohio State will be there, or is it Clemson?
Like Chad said, Ohio State did with their offense and that. They went into double overtime against Michigan, really good Michigan team.
Okay.
They almost lost to Michigan State. They won by like 1 point. So
Right.
It's not going to be Ohio State. It's going to be Clemson, Alabama.
Mhm.
And I am going to go out on a limb and say ACC is going to
Woo.
take over and Clemson's going to beat Alabama.
Dude, you think? Wait a minute, didn't Pitt beat Clemson?
Because of revenge. No, because
Oh,
of the
okay.
revenge factor. Because
yeah.
Alabama had them last year.
They're going to stir.
Right.
They're going to wake up their sleeping giant, aren't they,
They're going to wake
Jimmy?
up and Deshaun Watson's going to come out and throw for close to 400 yards.
Okay.
And Clemson's going to beat Alabama.
Well, I appreciate that. So then Clemson ends up winning the national championship. Dave,
In my book.
Okay, Dave, who gets to that championship game? Who wins on New Year's Eve? Alabama probably going to beat Washington, but Ohio State and Clemson game, I guess that's more important.
Actually, I saw a couple of people write about the entire, bowl schedule that's been set up both via the playoffs and the other bowl games that
Right.
have been selected.
Mm-hmm.
And they did pick, out of all the potential, matchups that could occur, they did say that the Clemson-Ohio State game is the best game
Right.
out of all the bowl games that are coming up. There's,
Okay.
in their opinion, that's definitely the way, they're seeing it. And I saw that by more than one person that wrote articles about the.
So that's more
bowl
must-see
games.
TV than that Alabama-Washington game on New Year's Eve. Then, huh?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And
Okay.
I, to be honest with you, if Alabama's in the damn thing again, I don't know. maybe I'll hope that Jimmy is right, and maybe I will watch it for a half or something like that. But honest to goodness,
I know,
hey,
Lane Kiffin.
it's a credit to Alabama. They put together a team. They're damn good.
Yeah.
They're head and shoulders above most of the rest of college football.
No doubt.
And, whether it's Saban or Lane Kiffin or whoever the heck it is, that's making Alabama into the team they are. But I'm just not interested.
I know.
I watch maybe 10 minutes of the Alabama, the championship game against Florida.
Right.
And that was it. It's like, this is just like,
That's all you needed to know.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Anyhow, Monday Night Sports Talk here on the airnetwork.net. Chad States Huntington, Dave Shannon, Altoona, and Jimmy Ty, Berks County. Chad States, by the way, with the Huntington Bearcat Wrestling coming up this month, matter of fact. We'll have more information on that. Be watching our front page and also keep listening to the airnetwork.net. And Chad, I have an idea. Maybe you and I can work on the Legend of the Mat ceremony some night. Get all these old Bearcat wrestlers back together like they did the basketball players and have them walk, crawl, or even roll in their wheelchairs out onto the mat that night to be Penn State. There are a lot of people that are saying, hey, you know what? I could have been 5th or 6th. Now, why don't we expand this thing, guys, to 8 teams? Why not include teams like, maybe Western Michigan, Penn State, Michigan? Why can't we put that together, Chad? Because they do it in the other, conferences. They do it in, FBS, FCS? Division II does it. Why can't Division I do the same thing and make it a real
Because Division
matchup?
2 and 3 and whatever don't have bowl games.
Well, that's true,
and
too.
As long as you have bowl games,
yeah.
As long as you have bowl games, you've got money rolling in from corporate sponsorship.
Right.
And that is never, ever, ever going to be given up.
The Beef O'Brady Bowl.
The +1, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah, the +1 format that they have now doesn't sacrifice any bowl games. You still play them all.
Okay.
You just get a +1 game at the end of them.
Yeah.
So that's why it'll stay a 14 playoff for now and for the foreseeable future. You're not going to go to 8 games anytime soon.
Hey, well, we
Not
know.
Division I.
Hey, Jimmy, you ought to be happy. Pitt's going to the Pinstripe Bowl in New York City, coming up against Northwestern. Oh, I imagine it'll be nice and hot that day when they play. What do you think?
A little bit of snow on the ground at Yankee Stadium.
Oh, that's not going to hurt anybody.
Nah.
I'm not going. I'm watching that one on TV, Dave Shannon. Go ahead,
Yes.
Dave.
Yeah, I'm not going to be there. No, I didn't go to the Penn State appearances at the Pinstripe Bowl, so I don't think I'm going to go to the
No, I don't.
the Pitt appearance.
But, Jimmy, who do you have in that game between Pitt and Northwestern? I don't want to forget the Pitt fans out there that listen diligently each week to Monday Night Sports Talk. So what do you say, Northwestern or Pitt?
Got to go with my alma mater, University of Pittsburgh.
All right,
All
I kind
the
of figured
Hail
that.
to Pitt.
Yeah, hey, Dave, and now that we do have that Rose Bowl trip to, of course, sunny
Pasadena.
California, we hope, on January 2nd. And you Penn State fans, man, that's going to be a vacation. How do you see that working out between Penn State and USC? We'll go around robin here and start with Dave.
I think Penn State's going to continue on a roll, and I think they will beat USC. And that may make this argument about the committee and who they chose even that much different, after you have a direct head-to-head comparison with what Penn State does to USC versus what Washington did with them. But I think Penn State will be able to handle this with no problem.
Yeah.
And once again, the thing that I have faith in this team is what we talked about at the beginning of the show, and that's the ability where if you are having trouble, the adjustments that are made at halftime are good enough to win every game they play in.
Right.
So, no, I see Penn State winning that game, and I see it maybe somewhere around, let's call it 38-24, Penn State.
That'll be on January 2nd. Chad, this ain't the Penn State team that lost to USC and who was it, Mark Sanchez. What was that, back in 2009? How do you see this thing rolling out on January 2nd, Rose Bowl, between Penn State and USC?
I see it being a lot closer than what Dave is calling it.
Okay.
USC is a very, very talented team. They've changed ever since they got this Darnold kid in at quarterback. USC has top-shelf talent across the board. And let's not forget, Pasadena is basically a home game for USC.
Oh, no doubt.
And that's a big deal,
That's a factor,
guys, because
yeah.
you're on their home turf playing this football game. I want to pick Penn State here by the hair on my chinny chin because I think this is going to be a very, very close football game. The thing about USC that's different than a lot of the other teams that Penn State has played recently is they can run and they can throw. And they can do so both effectively. And I believe, and forgive me, I don't know the guy's name. I will find it out here in the next couple of weeks. But I believe they have a Heisman Trophy candidate as a wideout on that team with blazing speed.
There, Jimmy would know who that is.
Yeah. Right. So this is a very, very close football game. This is not an easy one for Penn State by any stretch of the imagination.
So this is going to be
I'm going to be a homer here.
Go ahead.
I'm going to call Penn State going to win by 2. 37-35. I think they're both going to score some points here, but I could very easily see this going USC's way.
All right. Hey, Jimmy, you had mentioned now they have a new coach out there in the last couple of years. In addition to that, they have a wideout who is supposed to be spectacular, a possible Heisman Trophy winner. and that's fine. And I haven't watched USC that often this year. Got to be quite honest. But this is a whole different team. This is whole time a different type of team that Penn State's going to be facing there in Pasadena on January 2nd. How do you see that coming out?
Like Chad said, it's a home game, basically. Even though, let's say USC plays in the Coliseum.
Yeah.
It's still in Los Angeles.
Yeah, no travel.
It's a home game.
Mm-hmm.
Penn State has to travel across the country, have a couple days, to relax or whatever.
Right.
All USC has to do is just drive on a bus.
Yeah.
From their campus. But it's going to be a very close game. USC is going to dominate in the first half.
Okay.
Let's be real. They're going to dominate because as we know, Penn State comes out slow in the first half.
Right.
And that, but it's going to be a close game. But I'm going to say, like Chad, it's going to be a close game. But I will say it's USC will win.
Okay.
Final score. My guess was going to be final score 28-31.
28-31, and that's USC coming out on top at the Rose Bowl. Monday Night Sports Talk here on the InternetWork.net. You can always check us out. By the way, if you'd like to even Skype us, Greg Banks 3. I've asked people tonight, by the way, guys, to even hit us up on our instant message on the Air Network and leave a phone number. We can call them, and so that way we can talk about whatever they want to talk about. Obviously, if you do message us, let us know what you want to talk about, and I'll open up that in just a few moments. Meanwhile, that wraps up college for now because we've got a couple of weeks to talk about that. So, of course, you want to tune in every Monday night. Meanwhile, Dave, let me start with you. The Steelers over the Giants yesterday, 24-14. This ain't the same old Eli Manning either. And, man, Victor Cruz, he's pretty much null and void. And then you've got Odell Beckham. Did the Steelers look that good, or did the Giants just look that damn bad yesterday?
No, I think, for as much complaining as I've done about Keith Butler as the defensive coordinator, I have to tip my cap to him a little bit there yesterday in having players in the right positions. Mm-hmm. And now there is one thing I will say. Mm-hmm. Odell Beckham got into he was complaining on every play. Now, that being said, there were a lot of those that he was right. He was being held. He was getting hand checked. A number of things were going on with him. And I agree with him. Yeah. However, here's the thing, and you would hope this wouldn't happen, but I think what he did was he got under the skin of all, because, he attacked everybody, the umpire, the side judge, the back judge,
right?
Every guy that had stripes on, he was after, and about he was being interfered with.
Yeah, he didn't get the call.
Yeah, and I think that eventually the way that will work against you because eventually the referees, they're humans too. Mm-hmm. And it's like, look, buddy, we're the referees. We're going to call the game. Don't come to us after every stinking play and complain about it.
Yeah.
And you may get a few. Now, in theory, that should never happen. Mm-hmm. A foul is a foul.
It is, yeah.
No matter whether this guy got under your skin or not, a foul's a foul.
Well,
and they should call it. But let's face facts.
Yeah.
These guys are human. Mm-hmm. And I think they reached a point there with Beckham where it was like, shut up.
Yeah. Well, what, Dave? You got to conversely think about the defense. Mitchell and those guys were getting under his skin. In other words, they know because of past experience with Odell Beckham, you can frustrate this guy. You can frustrate the hell out of this guy. And, that's enough to help you win the game against him. You know what I mean?
To
so
Beckham's
that happens.
Credit, he didn't do anything stupid
like
he did against Carolina last year.
Exactly.
In the playoffs.
Exactly.
So to his credit, he's a different character. There's no doubt about it.
Right.
And he's very athletic. He is a hell of a good receiver and can run with the football after he catches it.
When you look at the go ahead. I was going to say, when you look at the scoring of the Steelers yesterday, a safety, a field goal, a touchdown, a field goal, a touchdown, a field goal. I don't know. Let me ask Chad this, man. Were you impressed with the Steelers at all, or was this just one of those games where, man, they were lucky to get out alive?
No, I was impressed with them. I thought they did what they had to do. Last week I said this was going to be a defining game for the Steelers.
Right.
With the Giants at home, the Giants coming in with an 8-3 record, and albeit it's not a strong 8-3.
No.
The back half of their schedule is really going to prove the worth of what the New York Giants really are. But regardless, they were an 8-3 football team coming into home, into Heinz Field, where Pittsburgh had to perform and had to perform well. And I think the defense played great. I think Le'Veon Bell had maybe potentially his best game of the year, specifically running the football. He looked fantastic doing it. And this might be a team that is now starting to get healthy, starting to take off a little bit.
Right.
They've got a tough road ahead of them, but yesterday was very, very encouraging.
Well, yesterday, of course, was very encouraging. But, Jimmy, as we move forward, they have the Bills coming up this Sunday. Bills got beat yesterday. Do they have to win out the rest of the season here now in order to even get a sniff of a wild card? Because I'm looking at this AFC Central, and, man, it's like log jammed. Every time you turn around, we are either butt up against the Ravens, and then everybody
we're
forget,
actually the AFC North. Greg.
Well, the AFC North, and then we're sitting here as we watch this whole thing unfold. I don't know. I mean, New England's going to be there at the end of the season anyhow. Jimmy, what's your estimation? Will they even get into the playoff? Do they have to win the rest of their games?
We have to win we have to beat Baltimore. If we can beat Baltimore, then we're going to be in the playoffs. But the one play that I was really impressed with yesterday was Green.
Oh,
yeah. Good point, Jimmy. I forgot about that.
He was good. Beginning of the year, they threw to Jesse James. Of course, Green was out.
Yeah.
Now Green had his first 100-yard game, first touchdown, whatever. But no, to get back to your question, I do believe they have to win out, but Baltimore has to lose at least one game.
Right.
And hopefully that one game is against Pittsburgh on Christmas Day.
Well, we still have those division foes that we've got to be on the lookout for before the season unfolds. Obviously, we've got Buffalo this week. That could be a scary deal because when it's all said and done, Buffalo could end up being somewhat of a spoiler, and we're playing at Buffalo. Now, having said that, I don't know what the weather calls for. It could be, and it probably will be, snowing in Buffalo that day because I see some weather moving into the area by Wednesday. Now, we still have Cincinnati, Baltimore, and Cleveland. And I'm not going to close my eyes against any of those teams, Chad, because the reality is, you know how it is. It's like their Super Bowl anytime they play the Steelers.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Pittsburgh has a bullseye. They are a bullseye for all those teams. And the Steelers, to me, I think they need to win out to win the division.
Right.
Just because I think Baltimore is going to try to keep pace with them, which I can't believe because Baltimore's not that good of a football team. But,
you're right.
When you lose to teams like Miami and some others that Pittsburgh have lost to, you've put yourself in this position where this is what you have to do. But, like I said, they're getting healthier. They're playing better defensively. Offensively, with Green coming back, it released some of the pressure on Antonio Brown.
Right.
Hopefully this machine is starting to unfold here a little bit and really put it into gear.
Get everybody back together, get them all healthy. Jimmy, you were going to say real quick?
I will say this. In the last segment, we were talking about Penn State and the Michigan loss and that.
Right.
The game that Pittsburgh, if they do not make the playoffs and they're out by one game, right? The game, in my opinion, the game that they're going to look at is that Philadelphia Eagles game early on in the season when they got blown out.
No doubt.
Their cross-state rival, they got blown out by the Eagles.
And
that's
there's
the game that Pittsburgh's going to look at.
And Philadelphia obviously
should have won that game because the Eagles are not that good of a football team.
And they're obviously a different team than we saw at the beginning of the season. Anyhow, Monday Night Sports Talk here on the airnetwork.net. Chad States along with Jimmy Ty and Dave Shannon, Greg Banks in the studio. Chad States, by the way, with Huntington Bearcat Wrestling this year. And then we have high school boys and girls basketball. All the schedule will be on our front page, probably coming up in the next couple of weeks, so be looking for that. Hey, let's move to hot stove baseball action real quick here. Dave Shannon, I'll start with you, then Chad, then Jimmy. Cespedes with the Mets signed a $110 million contract. I believe that was for 4 years, and he'll remain a Met. And everybody in New York is happy right now. That's the beginning of some of the things happening at the baseball winter meetings. Managers and general managers are there now. And there's that talk about trading Andrew McCutchen to the Nationals. And maybe Jahai Harrison is leaving as well. What the hell is going on with the Nutting family?
Well,
are these people nuts?
Okay, I'm just going to be straightforward here. They're as cheap as they always were.
Holy crap!
They had 3 years in the postseason.
Come on, man.
They didn't make enough money in their minds to necessitate spending money on baseball players. So guess what, Pirates fans?
Geez.
Get used to under 500 baseball, and Pirates team members get used to playing in front of about 10 or 12,000 on a weeknight now.
Yeah.
Because, not that they're blowing up anything. I'll tell you what, there were some amazing things done by Ray Searage and Clint Hurdle.
He's gone.
And the coaching staff.
Searage is going, I think, for somebody, isn't he? But go ahead.
To keep the Pirates contenders.
Right.
The bottom line is, I think that's over. And if you want to say the Nuttings are going to blow it up, they're going to blow it up.
Do they do that every 3 years, though, Dave? I mean, it seems like this is becoming a pattern here with these Nuttings. And you would think they make enough money off of Seven Springs, and now they got Hidden Valley, and of course the Pirates and the other business interest. And I know one doesn't feed the other, but come on, how much money do you need to make now?
Yeah.
I have no idea what their other shareholders are and what kind of guarantees they made to the other shareholders when they bought the Pirates, but it seems to be a prime driver as to what's going on, and they just don't. I don't see them. They don't want to be a contender through spending the money on free agents or making good trades. And as long as they're going to be that way, they are not going to get back into contention again, because you can go out and have what on paper and everything that your scouts have seen that makes it look like you've just made the best draft in Major League Baseball. Yeah. But you never know about those guys until they start to play at the minor league level as to whether they're going to be able to live up to all the expectations that they have. Ooh. And then you get a guy that does, like Garrett Cole. Yeah. And Garrett Cole now, I think he spent more time on, the disabled list than he spent playing this year. Yeah, I mean, for Pete's sake.
Well, my God, man, if I've got to watch another pierogi race and McCutcheon's not there, I'm not going. Hey, Chad, let me ask you this. Mark Melanson's name came up today. He's with the Nationals.
No, he's with the Giants now.
With the Giants?
No, he's not. He's with the Giants now.
Is he? Okay, I wanted to find. Deal. Yeah, what was that deal all about? Because now they're saying McCutcheon could very well be in Washington next season. I'm like, come on, man. I got to check with Chad and see what the hell is going on here.
Well, no, listen. This is a conversation we had whenever McCutcheon was struggling. And I think we need to go back a couple months ago and say, hey.
Yeah, we said it might happen.
We talked about McCutcheon. And we said, what is now the time to get rid of him? And it was hard to, because he's having such a bad season. Right. That you might not be able to get anything in return. So, guys, we talked about McCutcheon leaving.
Yes, we did.
And it's the right move for the Pirates, guys.
It's the right time.
I mean, you can bring Josh Bell up. Yeah, absolutely. You could bring Josh Bell up. You've got Polanco and Marte to cover your outfield. Okay. And you need, and let's face it, you need good young pitching.
We need pitching.
Pittsburgh.
Yes, we do.
You don't have it, you need it.
So you think?
And there's no better team to feed off of than the Washington Nationals to get that good young pitching, because they're overloaded with it in the major league level. Right. So, to me, this is a win-win situation for both teams if it goes down. Washington needs a center fielder so they can move their center fielder into shortstop. Okay. Pittsburgh needs young pitching. This could benefit both teams. Now, it might take longer for Pittsburgh to reap the benefits. Okay. But I think it's a good move. I really do. Hey. Where I think Pittsburgh's lacking, and where I think you're really going to struggle, and why you're going to be under 500 is the bullpen is atrocious. Yeah. I think that's going to be the biggest worry is where the bullpen is. But trading McCutcheon, now is the time to do it. If you can get anything for him, do it now.
Well, Jenny Everhart, she called us on the show last year. She and Marty follow the Pirates all the time. Well, she was crying Friday, and she said, they're going to get Chad. Is Chad still there or not there? I'll call him back. But she said, again, that, not only is McCutcheon gone, but there is a possibility that we might lose Harrison, too. So it almost sounds like a fire sale to me, Dave. Let me get Jimmy's estimation on what that will mean to Pittsburgh if another one of our heroes, McCutcheon, goes. And like Chad said, it might be the time. He might be prime for trade bait. Go ahead.
Right now, if you trade Kutch right now, let's say to the Nationals are going to have an outstanding outfield, just like what Pittsburgh had last year with Marte and Polanco and McCutcheon, right? Right. The Nationals going to have that with Harper, Worth, and McCutcheon, right? Uh-huh. But like Chad said, the Nationals have great pitching. Our starting pitching is okay. Yeah. It's not going to win us a lot of games.
Mm-hmm. Well, see, here we go. We got Chad. Are you there? We're starting to lose our guys again. Hold on, Jimmy. I'll get you back on here.
Value right now for
right.
a 2009 MVP of the league.
Right.
You get really good pitching in. I would say go ahead, trade McCutchen, get that. No, I'm not even saying going into the double A system or going into the farm system. I'm saying get a good guy right now who's on their staff, who's playing right now.
Okay. Hey, let me see. Is Chad still there? I think we lost him, or is he back? All right.
No,
I don't want to add him to the group again, because if I do, I'll bump everybody else off for some reason. So let me see if I can raise him again at this moment. There he is. Maybe we'll get Chad back on. Hey, Dave, let me ask you this real quick as we move into Penguin hockey. Then Chad, there he is.
Chad.
Chad's back. Okay. Chad, hold on. We just got you back on here. Okay, so baseball, is there anything, well, we're just going to have to follow the meetings, Dave, that are happening this week to see what else may happen with the Pirates, because, again, nothing's a done deal yet. I guess they're negotiating, talking about it at this point, right?
Oh, that's what the winter meetings generally bring. You have everybody in one place.
Mm-hmm.
It gives GMs a chance to talk to GMs.
Right.
It gives managers a chance to be a part of the conversation as well.
Okay.
I would imagine Ray Searage is there as well.
Yeah.
With the Pirates entourage.
Yeah.
So all that added together. No, it's a great way to. There's a couple of things that go on there. You get the opportunity to talk to these guys directly, and you might be able to pick up some information about players that it may not be known that maybe a team's getting, wants to get rid of that player. And you can get a little inside information, and then that helps to launch you into making a deal down the road.
Yeah.
Not all the deals happen right at the winter meetings. Some of them happen shortly thereafter.
Okay. Hey, Dave, I want you to continue as we continue Monday Night Sports Talk here on the airnetwork.net. Got to run and grab a phone call. Let's talk about the Penguins real quick. 50th anniversary season. I think Saturday, man, I saw some of the legends of the ice out there from 91, 92, I think it was. Those Stanley Cup.
First two cups.
Talk a little bit about the weekend, if you will. Give me about 3 minutes, and also talk about this upcoming week, because they're on the ice right now, and I don't have a television set on. I think they're taking on who is it tonight? They're playing
Ottawa.
Okay. So I want you to talk about Penguin hockey. Then, Chad, I'm coming to you to talk a little bit about Penn State wrestling. Then, Jimmy, I'll get to you. I have some questions about high school football. But, Dave, go ahead. What about the Penguins? What's happening with those guys?
Well, the one thing with the Penguins, it was great to see the 91, 92 guys come back, the ones that were available to come back. Scotty Bowman was in the house. He was actually on the telecast. Too bad the guy that was interviewing him didn't have any good questions for him, but I digress. The bottom line is it was good to see those guys back in the new arena. I don't know if they had all been in the new arena yet or not, but you got to see them all. Frankie Pietrangelo, the guy who was responsible for the save in the playoffs against the New Jersey Devils that kept the Penguins' 91 playoff hopes rolling right along, was there. And, it was just great to see those guys. Badger Bob Johnson's wife was also at the PPG Paints Arena on Saturday night, and that was great to see her there. She was there with her son, and just great to see the Johnson family, because it's still such a part of, they still have the banner that is a replica of the patch they wore the year after Badger Bob passed away, and they still have that in the rafters, and I think it'll stay there forever, really, to be honest with you. But it was great to see them come back and be a part of the ceremony as well. Team-wise, team on a bit of a roll here, coming back home, winning a couple against in Dallas, and then the game on Saturday night, and now they're tied at 2 against the Ottawa Senators. So depending on when you hear this, the game will probably have been decided. But the bottom line is that the Penguins seem to get out of a rut. They were in one of those 500 ruts. And what I mean by that, win a game, lose a game, win a game, lose a game. And they were able to break out of that. If they could pick up this win tonight, that would be 3 in a row and would get them going. Not that playing 500 hockey would be all that bad. They do have a nice surplus of wins over losses at this point in the season.
Right.
But still, it's not the way you want to, wrap the season up and go into the postseason with anything like that.
That game is, he just came past the television. It's 2-2 all knotted up now between the Senators and the Penguins. You had mentioned the Badger. His grandson was there with his wife. And I think that's the first time they've ever been to that arena. And the other side of that, didn't you think some of those players? I looked at Petrangelo and who else was there? Stevens and, of course, Lemieux.
Oh, Peter Taglianetti.
Yeah.
Kevin Stevens is huge.
Those guys look, they're aging quite well, I should add. I mean, you could tell it's been some years.
You look at Bob Airy and Phil Bourque.
Yeah.
I think could probably, and I think, both of them, because they're around the team, being a part of the broadcast, both on television and radio.
Yeah.
I think they go out on the ice with the team.
Okay.
To
like
try to get
skates.
more of an insight. Yeah.
And, the other part of it was when I looked at some of those guys like Stevens, and I realized, man, that's over 20 years ago, Dave. It's like some of these guys left the league in their late 30s and early 40s,
Yeah.
So,
it's
why wouldn't they? They'd be our age. Can you still pick up a stick, dude? Hey, listen.
Hell, can I still walk to the gate on the boards to get out on the ice? Holy cow!
Monday Night Sports Talk. Dave Shannon talking about the Penguins. What's your upcoming schedule look like, and what are your thoughts about? I know it's early in the season yet. Last year, this time we almost got a guy fired, and then you did around Christmas time. Matter of fact, remember that, Chad? I was thank God he didn't ask for the head of James Franklin early in the season when we were 2-2. But go ahead, Dave.
I tend to be able to, recognize talent.
Okay.
And I recognize talent with James Franklin. There's no doubt about that. Senators tonight. Then on Thursday, it'll be Penguins in Florida to take the Panthers on. And then on Saturday, rematch of the semifinal, the Eastern Conference semifinal, as the Pens will take on the Tampa Bay Lightning at Tampa Bay before coming back home a week from now, when they will host the Arizona Coyotes.
Did you ever meet Dave Mishkin, the voice of the Tampa Bay team down there, the Lightning?
No.
Yeah, well, he's from Johnstown, and he did Chiefs hockey for like 3 or 4 years. I remember the kid coming into the studio. Dave Mishkin, and now, the guy basically got that gig. Dave, we're going to try to get you a gig. Somebody's got to leave. I would like to see Steigerwald lead, and I know you were alluding to that as I headed to the phone, but what was really cool when they introduced the players from 91-92, Mike Lang got to introduce them on the big screen, at Penn Arena. Yeah. And that brings back so many great memories of listening to him on radio and TV. And now we can only, I guess, hear him on radio, or did he retire?
He's still doing the radio games.
Okay, good.
And I will say this, everybody... aging is a bad thing.
Yeah,
okay? None of us want
our
to
voices
age.
get raspy and crazy, and like
and
Casey
sometimes
Kasem.
our train of thought gets derailed even easier than what it gets derailed at this age.
Oh yeah.
I
don't get old.
I don't
Chad
want to make
Jimmy.
it sound like listening to Mike Lang. He makes a lot of mistakes. He does every now and then.
Yeah.
I listened to Vin Scully. The last game that he did at Dodger Stadium.
Right.
Vin made a couple of mistakes.
Well, hell, if you're there for 60 years, it's going to happen.
For Pete's sake.
Oh, my.
And so I feel the same way about Mike. And you know what? If it hadn't been for Mike Lang, I don't know if I would have become a Penguins fan. Now, you got to remember, I became a Penguins fan in 1974.
Yeah,
and
way
that
before.
was like Mike's first year there, because the year prior to that, Bob Prince was the broadcast voice of the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yeah.
And I listened to Bob Prince do hockey just because, Bob Prince was my hero.
Yeah.
As far as broadcasters go. Mm-hmm. And so it's great to see Mike. And the other thing they did that was really nice, and in a lot of cases, the public address announcers at certain facilities don't always necessarily get recognized for the amount of time they've spent there and what they've meant to a team. And, I forget his name now, but the guy that was the public address announcer at the old Civic Arena, Mellon Arena, and what have you, passed away.
Oh, yeah.
And
they acknowledged him.
He was recognized by Mario there during the introductions there, right before Mario came out. They also mentioned the public address announcer's name, and I thought that was a great touch
yeah,
too.
no doubt. And that is part of the lore and the history of Penguins hockey. And I'm like you. You started listening to them in 74. I started listening in 84. Matter of fact, I even know the date. November 4th, 1984, our first broadcast ever in Johnstown. Can you believe it? It took a radio station in Johnstown, a hockey town, till 1984 to have the first broadcast, but we were always like Red Wings and Chiefs fans. And, of course, they wanted to align with the Penguins, and they did. And we had this young kid, I think he was number 89. We all went to see him at the Civic Arena, and I was way up in, it was like way up in heaven, and I could hardly see him because everybody was pretty much drunk at the hockey game, and it was hard enough to follow the puck, let alone see the players way up there in the nosebleed area of Civic Arena. But I'll never forget the first time I saw him score, and it was unreal. So Dave Shannon reminiscing a little bit about, of course, Penguin hockey, Monday Night Sports Talk. Let's reminisce a little further about wrestling and the tradition of Penn State wrestling. Hey, Chad, there was a nice article in one of the national newspapers about Bo Nickel, I believe his name is, about how this kid was undefeated. He was destined to big and great things. Well, there's another kid, and I want to ask you if you even know anything about him, as Penn State defeated Lehigh yesterday 30-10. He had his first bout ever at BJC. Now, he's wrestled on the road. His name is Nick Suriano, I believe it is. Wrestles 125. You know anything about that kid and how the season's going this year? Tell us a little bit about Penn State wrestling. A little
bit about that kid. He was undefeated in high school 4 years and hasn't lost yet.
Whoa!
In fact, he's defeated the number 4 ranked wrestler twice.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's not the same kid. Earlier on, he defeated a kid from Stanford, Connor Schramm, who was a Pennsylvania kid.
Right.
And then this last week, he defeated one of the Cruz brothers, Darian, I believe, from Bethlehem Catholic, but also wrestling for Lehigh, who was then ranked number 4. So this Suriano kid's pretty good and kind of picking up where Nico Megaludis left off. And, of course, Megaludis was the national champ at 125 last year. So, Penn State's just hitting on all cylinders, guys. This is a great wrestling team, very young wrestling team.
Yeah.
But when you start to look at them top or bottom, they've only got 3 weights where they really have to define themselves. And if they're able to do that, they're looking at national championship number 6.
Yeah.
They're just that good. They're just that loaded. They have their next match will be against Binghamton University.
Oh, man.
That'll be an absolute blowout. But they wrestle these teams, and Binghamton has. I think Binghamton was ranked the last couple of years.
They get one guys.
So they're not a bad
up.
squad. They're just not on the same caliber as what Penn State is. Neither's Lehigh. Lehigh has. I want to say top to bottom maybe 6, 7, 8 different Pennsylvania state champions.
Yep.
Penn State just gets the cream of the crop. That's the difference.
Well, let me ask you about that, because Suriano, this kid, he's a real true freshman. And Penn State lost a kid from Central Cambria. I can't remember his name, Morano, who decided to sign on this year early with Iowa, I believe it was. Is he the kind of kid that Sanderson didn't lose him? Basically, he may not have even been offered at Penn State. Is that what happens?
Penn State's depth is incredible. And don't forget, Penn State recruits on a national level, not just on a local level. Max Murin is who you're thinking of from Central
that's who
Cambria.
I'm thinking of,
He signed with Iowa, so he's no slouch either. But, when you look at what Penn State gets, Suriano was the number 1 ranked kid in his class coming out.
Right.
Mark Hall, who's at 174, the number 1 ranked kid at his weight class.
What about Zane Rutherford?
Down Penn State's. Well, Rutherford was the number 1 ranked kid at his weight class. Jason Nolf, the number 1 ranked kid. This is what Penn State does, is they're out to get the elite of the elite, whether that's in Pennsylvania or whether it's not. And, it's so fun to watch. Yesterday I watched Jason Nolf toy with a kid at the Division I level and decide at the final seconds of the third period that, I'll just go ahead and tech fall this kid as opposed to taking the pin, which is what I was looking for to begin with.
Yeah.
That's just not, these are Division I wrestling athletes that you just normally don't do that with. And this is the kind of athlete that Cale Sanderson's able to get on his team. And they're just having fun, guys.
Oh, yeah.
When you watch them, they have fun out there. So,
I'd like to go to the wrestling practice someday, be in that wrestling room, just the challenges. Who are these guys that are sitting on the second seat or the third seat?
which are guys that on their own right could go to another team and start and compete to be an All-American.
No kidding.
You've got 3 guys on their roster with Rutherford, Nolf, and then Bo Nickel, who's up at 184, who happens to have 7 wins and all by 7 pins.
Right.
They're competing against each other to see who can get off the mat the quickest.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's they've got their own little game going on amongst the 3 of them, and that's what makes it fun for them.
Hey,
so
you know what's really cool?
Really, you're seeing just something special.
Yeah.
And you're going to see it special for a very long time period over there.
And they're coached by a special coach, too, Dave. Cale Sanderson. I remember watching him all the way through college. The guy was undefeated. You know, Chad, he would step out on the mat, I remember even as a freshman, and he would shake somebody's hand. He could have the guy on his back within a minute. He'd go immediately back to the exercise bike and ride the rest of the match. The guy worked all the time. Even if he had those short matches, he would go back outside these arenas and run. You know what I'm saying? And then, of course, get on the podium when it came time to get his award. But he was such a yeoman. I mean, sort of like a workman in the way. And you can see that culture now is pervasive at Penn State. And I'm glad that we've got a lot of Pennsylvania recruits. Let's get ready to wrap up this Monday night edition of Sports Talk. Let me ask Jimmy, and then we'll go round robin here. Pennsylvania, of course, PIAA football finals happening this Friday and Saturday. Bishop Guilfoyle shows back up after they blew out somebody over the weekend. And, Chad, by the way, Central got blown out. I think it was by Beaver Falls. That wasn't even really a game. But anyhow, BG, their last opponent, blew them out. Now they're playing the Clareton Bears, Jimmy. And this is a team that they beat the first time they won the state championship. And I forget if there was a tussle at the end of the game. The Clareton kids did something pretty stupid, if we all remember watching that. What's the outcome of this BG Clareton game this Friday? I believe it is. Friday afternoon at 1 o'clock is when they play.
Yeah, the game's at 1 o'clock at Hershey Park Stadium, and BG did beat Stilton High Spire out of the Harrisburg area.
Yeah.
48-6.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, but Clareton beat Farrell 24-4. It was 24-6 for the Clareton BG matchup. BG, they haven't lost a game in like 3 years.
Oh, they're 46-0 now, or something like that.
But if you look at if you look at both of the records, both Clareton and BG are undefeated.
Yeah,
undefeated on the year. But the thing about Clareton is they score a lot of their points during the third quarter, where BG scores a lot of their points
right
in the first quarter.
Yeah,
it's like if you look at the stats right now, Bishop Guilfoyle scores 15.7 points in the first quarter.
Yeah.
12.2. It's 12.9 in the second quarter, and then they sort of die off where Clareton comes out and scores 30 points in the third quarter and an average of 8 points in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, let me ask you, Chad, real quick. Are there any other teams from the region even in this thing coming up on the weekend? I can't recall anybody other than BG.
No, because Central lost
That's
14-7 to Beaver Falls.
Oh, is that what that was? Okay.
So yeah, it was a closer game. I mean, at least by score, it was a closer game.
I listened to that rebroadcast.
What was earlier indicated, and Ligonier Valley lost a hard-fought 31-27 game against Southern Columbia. So
that's
there
right.
is no more District 6.
Okay, so BG is the team to watch.
BG's the only one, but
BG's it.
Yeah.
And BG's going to win this, guys.
Yeah.
Much
BG,
like we talk about Alabama.
Yeah. That's what it is. You know, I listened to the rebroadcast, Dave. Well, go ahead, Jimmy, real quick, and then I'll have to wrap that up. Real quick. What are you saying?
The thing about Bishop Guilfoyle is Clareton is looking for blood because since BG beat them in the first round a couple years ago, or in the championship game a couple years ago, but the way BG's playing right now, it's all going to be Bishop Guilfoyle. Just bring that trophy back to Altoona.
Yeah, that's going to happen.
Defense wins championship.
And as Chad alluded to last week, Dave, I was listening to the rebroadcast, Dave. You know, and I agree with Chad. I don't care if they're single A, double A, quad A, or whatever. BG is set up to actually beat these teams. And I hate to say it, goes back to parochial versus public schools. Jimmy, I don't know, is Imhotep in this thing this year again?
Yes,
you know of? Oh, my God. See, there again, those schools were not designed, when the state took them over in Philadelphia, to be powerhouses in sports. There's charter schools, for God's
They're
sake.
playing Cathedral Prep.
Oh, my God. And, you're allowed to basically recruit anyone in the city of Philadelphia. When you go to these arts
They're
and
playing
sciences
Cathedral
school.
Prep.
And
the other games are in a state championship game. You have Archbishop Wood
Right.
against Harrisburg Cougars.
Uh-huh.
You have Southern Columbia, which has always been a powerhouse,
Right.
against Steel Valley.
Okay.
And then you have Middletown against Beaver Falls. And then the last game would be Central Catholic out of Pittsburgh against St. Joseph Prep.
Well, the best of luck to BG, by the way. My cousin Lori has taught at Imhotep since the inception of that school. She, I think, just retired this year, but she told me that they hired their football coach. He's, listen to this, guys, he's the climate control director at the school. To which I thought, because I'm a dumbass, that all he did was go around and turn up and down the temperature and the thermometers.
Thermostat. Yeah, he's the thermostat manager.
Well, actually, he's like a truant officer. They just gave him a big name. So, and it's not like you're going to go out looking for a kid from Philadelphia that didn't come to school today, but you're the football coach and getting paid as the climate control director. Anyhow, okay.
Hey, one quick thing, Greg. I wanted to mention the PA announcer's name was John Barbaro.
Yeah, okay, I remember that.
Civic Arena.
Yeah.
He died in 2009 from brain cancer at the age of 65.
Okay.
But he was remembered on Saturday with the Penguin ceremony.
The 50th anniversary, of course, of the Pittsburgh Penguins. They're playing right now on the ice against the Senators. Last check, it was 2-2. But, hey, listen, you can hear the rebroadcast. Dave Shannon from Altoona, thank you. Jimmy Ty from Berks County. And we've got Chad States from Huntington. Chad, I'll see you on the mat against the Mat Cats, at least bringing it to us live here on the Air Network. Thank you, guys. I'll see you again next Monday night, all right?
All right.
All right. That's another edition of Monday Night Sports Talk here on the Air Network. Listen for the rebroadcast throughout the week, and we'll see you back here at 7 o'clock, as we always do on Monday night here on the Air Network.